Which teaching in psychosynthesis feels most alive for you at this stage of your life and practice as a therapist?
Disidentification. Disidentification. I think that's the main one. Is that the one that's most alive for me? I mean, I'm maybe most excited about the transpersonal self. Um, I'm excited about two. Can I have two?
Yeah, you can have two.
I mean, they're joined up,
Well,
you know.
they are joined, I was about to say. Yeah.
Um, Disidentification is it's like the heartbeat of psychosynthesis is a identification,
Mm.
disidentification, identification, disidentification, identification, disidentification. It's like the heartbeat. It's like a process where so an identificate, for those who don't know, an identification is like a limited sense of self. So I talk about story identification. So it's like you're trapped in a limited story, you're trapped in a character within that story. But then for whatever reasons, external or internal, something happens that means that that story, that sense of self isn't satisfying or doesn't work anymore. And you need to find a new story to make sense of events. Maybe there's you've had a bereavement or um, midlife crisis is the classic one. Or just, you've left primary school and now you're in secondary school. That's a disidentification.
Mm.
You can't be
Mm.
a primary school student anymore.
Mm.
Who am I? So you have to let go. You have to disidentify from the old story and move into a new story, which eventually becomes stabilized, and that's a new identification, which eventually um, isn't adequate because then you get older or something, or you get divorced or something, and you need to reestablish a new sense of self in the new conditions. Life is always coming at us and giving us new experiences, and we need to adapt. And I
You're kind
think
of
that
describing an organic process.
it's an organic process.
Mm.
Sajili writes about successive. I always get mixed up. It's either right successive identifications or successive disidentifications. It's the same thing though, through life.
Mm.
And what I love about that is the unfolding, creative, never settle down, be open to change nature of the process of life. I think it speaks to what life is
Mm.
because as soon as you settle down, I mean, that's the danger, I'm like 53. I'm like, oh yeah, I've written two books, I'm doing okay. I'm okay. I've made it now, but then you're going to get hit by something. So you can't, it's like, it's a reminder never to settle down and to, stay alive. And that means I have a more creative life than otherwise because I'm leaning into the difficulties rather than avoiding them. I'm leaning
Mm.
into the strangeness rather than pretending it's not there. The other thing, transpersonal context or transpersonal self, I dropped the from in front of transpersonal self in the book, um, because it's not a single entity. It's not like another self, like the personal self meets transpersonal self. It's not like Jack meets Jill. If you go into what Asad really writes about it, as far as I can see, and a number of other people have said the same thing, and indeed yourself, we can think about transpersonal self as like the context, the psychological context within which we exist. Um, so again, that goes back to sort of
Mm.
turning psyche inside out. It's not just about an inner
Mm.
imagination. It's the story that surrounds us, and we find that not in a relationship to like a wizened old man on a cloud. It's not like he's transpersonal self. We 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 find transpersonal context through a multitude of relationships to obviously to our feelings and thoughts and sensations and dreams, but also to other people, to our therapist, to our dogs, to the geraniums in the window box, to the news. All these relationships make us who we are in a way.
Mm.
And psychological life for me is about learning to notice and cultivate those relationships. And you strengthen your psychological life if you like. or cultivate your imagination, in other words, by doing that, by having relationships. And it's a very participatory paradigm. It's quite mysterious as well. And for me, it sort of decenters things in a good way. Because if psychological life, if imagination isn't about just me and my inner life in a center, it's about these all these relationships. That moves me away from the shadow of a narcissistic sort of
Mm,
self-preoccupation, and that's very freeing. So I like to think that transpersonal self is trying to call me, like Assagioli talks about the call of self, and it's like my job is to listen
mm,
and notice the signs, the images, that come that might be leading me forwards into a deeper relationship.
mm, mm,
And you know, that's what I'm doing all the time with a client. That's what makes it very interesting to be a
mm,
therapist. You're always listening, not just to the actual words that the client says, but you're listening on other levels to the baby crying through the wall that you start to hear, or the light that
mm,
suddenly appears through the clouds, or the wasp or the fly buzzing around the room. All these things might not just be random
mm,
happenings. Um, if we allow them to sit there and synthesize them together with everything else.
that's lovely.